So the Ecogen generator needs a, it's supposed to be hooked to a permanent gas source. Oh, this is really weird there. I think I'm awkward. Hold on. There we go. Even worse. So the generator is meant to be hooked up to a permanent gas source, whether it be natural gas or propane. On our homestead, we're going to run it on propane because trucks come and deliver it. We don't have natural gas piped in. They'll come and deliver it, and there's going to be a few other things on our property that use propane. So we'll just get one of those giant, submarine-looking tanks installed on the property. But temporarily, everything's in the garage, and I'm not, we're not doing any trenching or getting anything done like that. Come spring, summer, we're going to bring the gas company in and get their opinion on where do we put tanks and all that kind of stuff. But for now, I need to get this hooked up. So I've done a little bit of research, and on propane, the generator needs what's called an 11-inch water column regulator. And what that means is a tank has about 100 psi in it. If you just open up one of those little 20-pound cylinders, it's about 100 psi, which is a lot more than we need. I mean, if we hook that up to this, it would blow all the seals and everything else. So you have to put a regulator on it. An 11-inch water column basically means if you had like a test tube or a vial of some sort, and you hooked the gas to the bottom of it and filled that with water, when you turn the gas on, the regulator should take that high pressure from the tank and lower it down so that water in that column with the gas underneath it would raise up 11 inches. If it was natural gas, I think it's about 5 to 7 inches. But I went onto eBay and onto Amazon and bought an 11-inch water column regulator, and it just has this short 5-foot hose on it. And it looks like it's about a 3/8 connector. So I went to our local Home Hardware and picked up a whole bunch of parts. I thought it would be pretty simple, but they have 1/2 inch, they have 3/8, they have you name it. So I just bought a selection of what I think might be needed. So I picked up all of these parts, except for that one. I picked up all these parts and I get home and realize that none of them fit, of course. So basically what we need to do is connect to this end, this little 3/8 or 1/2 inch, looks like about 3/8 or 5/8 maybe, I don't know. And it has to connect up to this 3/4 inch connection. But of course nothing that I bought will work all the way around. But for our bunkie, we also purchased this about a month ago. I bought this outdoor water heater, much like the one we have in our outdoor shower here. And I opened it up, and it actually has the exact piece we need. So I am going to just steal this part for temporarily hooking up this generator, and either pick up a new one, or by the time this is ready to be installed permanently over there, maybe I'll be able to give this piece back to the shower. Of course, that being said, come May, when I'm like running around trying to find where I put that piece, I'll post a video and maybe you guys can remind me. Anyway, so I picked up some gas tape. I'm going to get this all connected up, and then we'll show you how it all goes together. It's cold out here. So we've got all of the connections on. We've got the Teflon tape, the yellow stuff meant for gas, on all the connections, right down to the regulator, and everything's snugged up. Now we just got to get this end onto the connection in the generator, and then we can do a leak test. I think what needs to be done is there should be a nipple. I don't know if you can see in there. There's a 90-degree galvanized elbow there that I'm connecting this to, and I think because it's too hard to get in there, I should, when it's permanently connected, I'll put like a 6-inch galvanized coming out to here to connect this flexible line to. I feel like that's going to be the best way to do it. I don't really like the way that I'm hooking this up right now. I could remove these two screws and tighten that up a little bit more. It's tough because it's a temporary setup, but more thought needed. So we've got a 20-pound tank there, the regulator. Goes over to all the connections there to a flex line, and that goes inside there. I think I'm gonna put in a solid galvanized 6-inch section to bring this flex out a little bit more. I don't have a shut-off on it because there's a shut-off right on the tank that's close by. Again, this is just temporary. I'm just gonna go get some gas leak detection liquid and then turn the tank on and test for leaks. Okay, update on our temporary Generac install. The original regulator that I had on here, it was an 11-inch water column regulator, which is what this system needs. The problem with it was that the diameter of the hose was too small. It was only about 1/4 of an inch, and the generator, it would fire, but then it would stall right away, so it was starving for fuel. So what I've done is I pulled the flex line off from there, put on a half-inch piece sticking out, elbowed it, went to the flex, and then I up it to a 3/4 inch line because I ended up buying the regulators that we're going to use long term. So we have a first stage and a second stage. This first stage comes out as 1/2 inch. I step it up to 3/4 and go into the second stage, and it goes out of that 3/4. These regulators, I mean, they're about $200 for the set of them, but we need them anyway to do the actual install. We're going to have to go probably 3/4 inch the whole way over there, maybe an inch, but I think 3/4 inch is going to be good. I have it hooked up to the 20-pound tank right now. Can see right now I'm showing that I have it's got an error on it, and that's just saying that the battery's low. and that I don't have the connection, the battery charger connection up there. I'll probably end up putting it on, but I think just the amount of times I'm going to have to run this over the winter will probably keep that charged up. So I have my tank on. Everything's set up, everything's wired. So let's manual it up. So it's about a 30-second delay. We actually have it hooked up to the grid side because we don't have a grid, so we're just using the generator as our grid. You can see our batteries are down to about 60%, and it just turned over. So right now it's bringing in 5 kilowatts of power, 6 kilowatts. I'm still climbing up here. So it's bringing in 7.3 kilowatts. If we look at our battery bank, so it's bringing in 118 amps. We have like 0.1 going out, and the batteries are taking all 117 amps, which is about, this is saying 6.4 kilowatts. Yeah, so the inverter is using a little bit of the power to run itself, but overall, it's doing pretty well. The one thing that I'm not sure about is the 20-pound tanks. In this cold weather, they really freeze up pretty fast. So I feel like it's, you can see it happening, and I'm worried that it's going to starve for fuel. We did have a issue when I first tried to start it up. Everything was fine. I put the new regulators on it, and I had an issue with an error came up. It was a 1062 error, which was a comm loss, and it was between two of the components. I went online and looked, and it says it could be a loose connection, it could be a pinched wire, it could be, but I figured it must have been something not like a pinched wire, because nothing changed from the first regulator and the second one except adding the regulator in. The problem was that the component, if it's broken, is like $2,000 or something like that. So in me trying to mess around with it, I was worried about voiding the warranty, and since it was under warranty, brand new, never even been run, I called our local service guy up here, electrical company out of Owen Sound. They came out. Within about 10 minutes they had it working. One of the wires in the harness that goes into this AVR component on the side of it, the pin was pulled out of it. Which was a little frustrating because I actually unplugged all of the harnesses, plugged them all back in, but I didn't look inside of it, so my bad, I guess. Anyway, he plugged it in, fired it up, everything worked right off the bat, no issues. I didn't have much propane, so it ran for I don't know, 10 minutes or something. What he did tell me is when he took the course to be certified with Generac, they say that it shouldn't be run on anything less than, I think he said a 100-pound tank. Now he says it'll run for probably about an hour on a 20-pound tank, which that's a lot of propane. But I'm going to try it on these 20s. That would be ideal if I don't have to get anything else. But like I say, I'm a little bit worried that it's going to starve it. As the propane freezes, it's going to starve it. With this running, I might actually plug in a heater and point it right at the tank and see if I can keep the tank warm. But we'll see what happens. I'm going to let it run for a while and see if I can build my battery bank up. So, in these cold temperatures, you can see the frost line on the tank there. It's used, well, almost half the tank. It's been running for maybe 20 minutes, a little bit longer. And then it starves itself for fuel. I even tried, I tried a second tank. This is the first one. It froze completely. I tried putting this box over
around the tank and putting that heater in there, it helped a little bit, but it's still freezing up. So I think the only solution is going to be to get a bigger tank, which kind of sucks. You know, I don't have a 100-pound tank. I don't even really think I have a need for one. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind, like I wouldn't have an issue buying one. In the spring, when this generator gets moved over to its final location, we plan on bringing propane, like getting a big, like a huge, I'm not even sure how many gallons there, probably like 400-pound tank or something like that. I don't know. From the local propane delivery company, they set it up because we need propane in the house anyway, for different components, our heat system, our backup for our heat system anyway, maybe the stove. So it's needed for a bunch of stuff, but that's not till spring. Everything's under snow. Yeah, so, sorry, it was just making noises. I was trying to figure out what it was. But it might be the only solution. You know, having to buy a 100-pound tank is a lot cheaper than having to replace a battery bank. All right, so we finally got our generator temporarily hooked up and working properly. So they won't run on the 20-pound tanks, at least in the cold weather. And it uses a lot of propane, and those they're not going to keep up. I ran it for, I was able to run it for about 20 minutes before the propane tank froze up, and it used probably half of that tank, maybe a little less than half. We did have a problem with, through shipping and stuff, one of the connections, there's a harness inside, and one of the pins came loose on it, so it was getting a 1062 error, which means that the AVR on the side here wasn't connecting to this unit here. And I checked it all, but couldn't find anything wrong. But so because it was under warranty, I didn't want to dig too far into it and ruin anything, like void any warranties or anything. So I called a local service company. They came out the next day, and they said that in the other end of this cable, a harness just like that, one of the pins, like one of the wires was actually pulled out a little bit, so the pin wasn't making connection. So it was probably just loose from shipping. Once they got that hooked up, everything was good. And he said that the Generac actually recommends not running it on anything less than a 100-pound tank. He says it'll run for about an hour on that. That's it. But with this cold weather, it just wasn't going to work. I even had it at one point, a box around it, a cardboard box, and a space heater right in there, and it still would freeze up. And it all works on the vapor, not the liquid propane. So I know there's other ways. I could have put it in, some hot water, set the whole thing, but that's not really repeatable over and over again for the winter. Although based on the skies today, we might be almost done with winter. But anyway, 100-pound tank. I did have to change my connection up here a little bit. I had to add, it used to just come straight out. I ended up adding this, I think that was a 24-inch pipe I put in there. And then just, so it comes half-inch out of there. So quarter-inch there comes into the first stage, then half-inch. Then it goes to a reducer, but it brings it up to 3/4-inch. And that 3/4 goes in there. And then it reduces back down to half-inch to go into the generator. But now everything is good. Oh, the other thing I did is the unit has a battery in it, and it has a charger. So you're supposed to hook it up to its own breaker, 120 amp circuit. But because it's temporary, what I did is I wired in an extension cord. I just brought it through right there and wired that into the T1 port of the generator. And then what I've done is I've just plugged that extension cord in to a power bar there. So the battery is always being charged up now. I just cut the end off of this one, and when I'm done, I'll just put a new mod end on that. But everything works. It starts pretty fast. Just open it up here. I'm not going to hook up the auto start on it until it's in its permanent location. It's really not needed. When I come over here, if I look at it in the batteries, you know, if it's down to like over the winter, if it's down to 75%, I'll turn the generator on for, I don't know, probably an hour or so and top the batteries up. They were, most of this week, they were at 60%. But now the sun's kind of coming out for the last couple of days, so the batteries, they're actually fully topped up, and I actually got to do an equalize today. So batteries are in good shape, but I'll start this up just so you can see it running. So manual start, we just hit the button here, manual. So I guess the wrap up of this video is that yes, the system can be hooked up to temporarily run. It charges the batteries great. Probably in the summer or in a warm building, if this building was heated, that would work fine. On a warmer day, those little tanks will probably work fine. On a day like this, I don't know. I've heard that some people, you know, they set them in a vat of hot water. I don't have a way to heat up water out here. So anyway, the generator itself works great. I have no issues with it. Well, except for that one little one, but that's just from shipping. I'm assuming, you know, just shaking around in the delivery and all that kind of stuff. One of the pins just came out. It's back in. Everything's working great. So I guess the next step for this will be to get this permanently installed in, like, I don't know, a month and a half or so. But more about that next time. Until then, if you're liking these videos, make sure you subscribe. If you have questions, I know there's not a whole lot of information on the Ecogen yet. So if you have questions about it, let me know in the comments and I'll try to answer them. By no means a professional on it. Like I say, I just started using it. So, until the next time, have a good one.